y'all! Welcome my little ravens back to the channel, and if you're new to the channel and enjoy casts, builds, let's plays, and challenges, consider hitting the subscribe button and joining the Raven family. My name is Simmer Misty, and I'd love to have you as part of the family. Today, we are joining the Decades Legacy Challenge series with our O'Hara family, so without further ado, let's get to it. Okay, and to start off our episode, our Raven's Call today goes to Jupiter Shorts. The house is beautiful. Thank you. I did a lot of work on that, so I'm really glad that you like it. So let's go ahead and jump in and play in that house. Okay, so we are getting right back in where we left off, and everyone has recently had a birthday. As we know, our eldest girls have aged up, our youngest have aged up to children, and it is the evening before we are going to be shipping off Helen and Merida into the finishing school. So everyone is just getting themselves off into bed. It is a bittersweet evening because, as we know, everyone is going to be saying goodbye in the morning. So the plan here is we're going to get up, we're going to have breakfast, and we're going to do our normal daily tasks such as, bathing, brushing our teeth, things of that nature. The younger ones will have to go off to school, so I will try to get them to say their goodbyes before they leave for school for the day, and then the parents will be heading off with Helen and Merida over to the finishing school, where they're going to let them meet Headmaster Neri so that we can Neri, not quite sure, but we're gonna be introducing the girls to the headmaster and getting to know them, helping the girls settle in and meet the other girls that are already enrolled and living there so that we can then pay their tuition. It will be 15 simoleons per girl per week. So we are going to go ahead and pay their tuition, and I will probably just go ahead and pay their tuition on whatever the day is that it falls. So they're going, I believe, on a Tuesday. So every Tuesday we will pay. I'm probably going to forget that, but I know someone in the comments will help me remember. You know who you are. So anyway, I don't know exactly how long they're going to be at the finishing school, but I do know that they need to learn some life skills. So basically the plan here is that they're going to go to finishing school. They're going to learn how to cook. They're going to learn how to clean. They're going to learn how to become women, housewives, things of that nature. I'm actually going to turn off the feature that they've been a played person, and I'm going to let them live their lives while they're there. And then once enough time has passed, I say it's probably going to be maybe a couple of weeks. And then we will go back into that house, see what progression they've made on their own, and if they've made any kinds of relationships. And if they have, we'll marry them off and put them in a house that we have built. That's the plan. We'll have to play it by ear and see how it goes. If they find a relationship, marry on their own, we would get a notification about that, and then at that point we'll go in and adjust, and I'll put them in a home that I've built for them. It's just all going to depend on how the world plays out. You know that I have mods in the game that kind of make things sometimes do things on their own. That being said, everyone is getting up for the day, and they are just washing up and doing what they need to do. Currently right now, what you see me doing is I am actually just going ahead and trying to get female pack products for all of our females, because we have a lot of teen girls in our house now, and they are going to need menstrual products. So I'm just going to go ahead and purchase those and get them into the house and put them in each of the girls' inventories so they do have those on hand, just because I would presume they probably did have those on hand. At the very least, napkins, some kind of something they would have had back then to take care of that issue. So I'm going to give each of our girls a package of that. Some of our girls aren't quite old enough for that just yet, but I do want them to have that on hand when that time comes, because we have a lot of daughters. So I'm doing that now while we do have some funds. You will notice that I deleted the table in the front yard that we were selling our yard sale stuff on, and this is the reason. We don't have time to do it. Between the garden, the children, the laundry, everything that was going on, we weren't selling anything. I'm selling everything out of the inventory. All of the things that Frederick is building, I'm keeping in the household inventory, and when we have enough funds from just selling our produce, selling the cross stitching, selling whatever, to purchase a storefront. Once we get all of that, we'll actually sell the stuff in the household inventory in the store. That's the plan. I have not forgotten that he is a merchant and we are to buy a store. We will be doing that, but selling the stuff at the yard sale, while it did make us some extra money because we could mark up those prices, it just wasn't conducive to me being able to get anything else done throughout the day because it took so long for him to do that and man that, and I kept constantly having to stock the table, and I was having trouble figuring out how to... The family's just too large, is basically what it is. The family is just too large, and then I would neglect their needs throughout the day, and it was just becoming too much of a hassle. So I deleted that table. So anything that they make, I'm just selling out of the inventory, and we'll just make it work that way. So everyone's having breakfast, brushing teeth, doing chores, all of the things that they need to do bright and early this morning. They're all up before the sun because back in that time, you got up early. I mean, you went to bed early, you rose early, you did your chores and the things that you needed to do before school, because that was the time you had to do it. You got up really, really early, you got the things that needed to be done, and then you would eat your breakfast and you'd head off to school. So that's what everyone is doing. Like I said, once all of the younger people are up for the day, it looks like the only two that are still asleep would be Rose and Liam. Once everyone, though, is up, we will absolutely have everyone say their goodbyes to Helen and Merida, and then we will continue on with getting everyone settled and into their new homes. Now, that being said, I believe Rose may have herself a little bit of a cold. She was sniffling earlier, so she might actually not go to school. I'm not quite sure if she's going to be going to school or if she's going to be heading herself to the doctor. We're just going to have to see. But Cora is doing some wash. And Frederick was just doing some woodworking. I'm also going to sell, I think, Cora's candle making station, and the reason being they don't sell for much, the candles, and we no longer need candles in the house because we now can have lamps. So I think what I'm going to do is sell her candle making station, and I'm going to put in a desk in that area. I do believe that a desk would be more conducive because in the future they are going to be able to have like a writer or something like that could possibly be in the family. So they would be able to have like a typewriter and things of that nature. I don't know who in the family might be able to do that. Maybe it would be him after he comes back from war. If he survives the war, maybe he would want to write about it. I don't know. Is there a reason why you felt like you needed to do that, Merida? Because honestly, I don't think that was necessary. So I personally think that a lot of the girls look like Frederick. I do think that Merida really, really does take after Cora. She's got a lot of Cora's looks. Helen here is... This girl is a character. She is highly paranoid. Like, highly paranoid. She panics very, very easily. And just goes running about town, freaking out. So there's a lot of times that I have to get Frederick going and calming her down, which is not necessarily a good thing because he has to literally chase her down, and we're about to send her off to finishing school. So I hope she doesn't get herself into much trouble, but he can't be there to hold her hand always. I don't know. Like, she is really laying on top of that book. Like, I should put her in some day clothes so she can put her glasses on. Clearly, she's having trouble seeing. I guess I shouldn't complain. At least she's doing her homework. So I'm just going to have Cora go ahead and throw out this old food from yesterday that's still sitting on the counter. And she's going to call everyone to breakfast because she did make breakfast for everyone. And everyone's going to come now that the chores are done and they've had their baths and brushed their teeth and done their last minute homeworks and things like that. And we're all going to just have some eggs and toast together before school and before Cora and Frederick have to go and take the girls to finishing school. And, you know, I think it's really kind of sad because, I mean, this is their first set of twins and we're seeing them off. And, I mean, they're preteens, so, you know, they're young. But this is the way it was. Like, they would have been shipped off to finishing school so that they could become proper women and, you know, learn the trades that needed to be learned to secure themselves a good gentleman that was going to, you know, take good care of them in their future, because that's how women were seen back then. You know, they weren't allowed to work. They weren't allowed to hold jobs. They were basically just meant to stay at home and cook and clean and bear babies and raise the babies, and that was it. Like, they weren't seen as a equal by part of the community or of society even. And so they would have been shipped off. They would have been taught how to be proper young women that could secure a man to take care of them, because in society's eyes, they can't take care of themselves. And so it's not at all uncommon that they would have at a young age been shipped off to be taught those things. And on the counterpart, men would have been put in boarding school so that they could have learned skills such as writing and arithmetic, and like they would have actually been taught things so that they could become proper businessmen or lawyers or doctors or any of those things that they actually wanted to do in order to be able to be big, strong, whatever men that could provide for their family and rah, I am man, hear me roar, right? Like, that's just the way things were back then. And not to say that sometimes that's not the way things are now, because I think as much as people want equality, and people don't shoot the messenger, okay? As much as people want equality, it's a man's world. I think, unfortunately, it's always going to be a man's world. And we fight and we fight and we fight for equality, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. And sometimes history repeats itself, and while that may suck, I think it depends on who's at the helm. And, well, look at history. So, yeah, it is what it is, and it sucks. And I think that we have made in our history a lot of leaps and bounds in the right direction, and I hope that we can continue to do so. But unfortunately, during this time frame especially, we are stuck, and the girls can't do crap other than go to finishing school and learn how to be proper ladies that can secure a man, because they cannot take care of themselves. They are weak little women, and that's how they're seen. So, everyone is now saying their goodbyes. As you can see, breakfast has been partaken, and the girls are all getting ready for school. Well, the girls and little Liam are all getting ready for school, so the goodbyes are... What are they doing? Hold on a sec. Okay, well, it wouldn't be Frederick and Cora if they weren't themselves. So they've told each other that they've done their chores. They want to be together. So it would seem that the children are all going to tell each other their goodbyes, and Frederick and Cora are going to entertain themselves for a little while. That's fine. I'm going to allow them to do that. Maybe they're feeling a bit emotional because they're about to say goodbye to their two eldest, and they're trying to comfort one another. Whatever the case is, I don't really know or care. I'm going to let them have some time together, and that's fine. But everyone is saying their goodbyes and giving hugs and telling each other that they love one another. They aren't quite sure how long it's going to be before they're going to be able to see their sisters again. Especially the younger ones, they would not quite understand if Helen and Merida were ever going to come back home, or if this was the last time that they would ever see them. Like, they're too young to understand kind of what this whole process is, and for them it would probably be very scary to see that, like, they've just become children and now their sisters are being shipped off and they don't really understand what all that entails. So they don't really understand. The older two obviously know that, they're just going, basically it's a type of school, and so they are just not really bothered by it. They're like, oh, it is what it is and it's not a big deal. So the little ones are going off to school now, and I'm just going to go ahead and finish up here with Helen and Merida, and once Frederick and Cora are ready to go, we're going to go ahead and travel and go ahead and head ourselves over to the finishing school so that we can definitely go ahead and get them enrolled with the finishing school. We have to meet the headmaster as well as the other girls there at the school so that we can get them enrolled, pay the tuition, and see them off. So here we go. Okay, so we have officially arrived at Apison Finishing School, and as you can see, all of the girls have come out to greet the newcomers. The only one that isn't out here is the headmaster. She is actually indoors. So I'm just going to have Frederick go ahead and go on over to the front door and knock on the door so that we can be invited in, so that we can give ourselves an introduction, so that we can meet the headmaster and advise her that we are interested in enrolling our girls in the school, because we do want to get Helen and Merida enrolled so that they can go ahead and get their proper education going, because we do want them to make sure that we can ensure that their future will be a good and successful one with finding themselves a proper fellow. Because obviously, especially being Frederick and their father, he would want to ensure that he, as their father, makes sure that before anything were to happen to him, because, not just war, but anything in general, before he were to pass on in any type of capacity, whether that be, sickness, anything could happen, that he would know that his daughters have a secure future ahead of them. So we are in the school, and we are just going to go ahead and introduce ourselves to Vivienne Neri, and we're going to advise her that, hello, we are the O'Haras, and this is our daughters, Helen and Merida. They have just aged up into preteens, and they are interested, and we are interested in them attending your school. And we would like to know, what is the price of tuition? And then she would advise us that it is $15 per head. And we want to know if they have room in her finishing school. And she would advise us that actually, yes, they do quite have room. And so can we then go ahead and spend some time getting to know the other girls and then possibly enroll the girls in the school. So we are just going to sit here and have some time spent speaking with everyone and, getting to know one another, having some conversation. I do want Frederick to spend some time talking with each of his girls, as well as Cora spending some time talking with each of the girls. They are both going to give the, make sure that you're, following the rules of being a prim and proper girl. Don't be getting yourself into any, behavior that is unbecoming a young proper girl. Puberty is a thing, the woohoo is a thing. Don't do anything that would sour not only your name but the family name, as well as ensure that you get a good education to the best of your limits, but also know that it's frowned upon for women to get too much of an education. A woman back in this time frame would have a limited education, and it would be expected for a man to have more of an education than a woman. And a woman would have more education in the things of cross-stitch, painting, gardening, knitting, cooking, cleaning, and rearing of children. And that is what they expect their children to learn, not arithmetic and writing and things of that nature. And that may bother their girls a little bit because, you know, especially Helen, she is an academic person. She likes academics. And I think that might bother her a little bit because she enjoys learning. She's a little paranoid and a little bit out there, but she enjoys her academics. So yeah. So I am going to go ahead and subtract the 30 simoleons that it does cost for the week from our home house funds and go ahead and get them enrolled. And then we'll head over into our managed houses and we will go ahead and split them from the house and put them into our Appison Finishing School house. And our girls will then be a part of the finishing school house and no longer in our household. Okay, so we have officially split the girls out of our household and placed them into the Appison Finishing School, and they no longer reside within our home. And now we are just going to have Frederick and Cora tell them goodbye and give them their official hugs goodbye, as well as to wish them luck in their endeavors and their studies and their hopeful, successful finding of someone that they can marry, as well as to let them know that they love them and that you know, once their journey here at the school is over, if they have not found a successful person that they can marry, that once their time frame is up here, because as you know, they would be here as a young, like as a preteen and a teen. If they did not marry or find someone to marry by the time they were a young adult, they would have to be able, like they would have to come back home. And then we would have to find them a spouse at that point. So hopefully they'll find someone before them then on their own. But if not, they would have to come back home. So they're both just letting her know that they love her very, very much, and that obviously her home is always there. Like their home is always her home, but not. Like she lives here now, but they're gonna miss her terribly, and they wish the best for her. And you can see in Cora's face here that she's terribly going to miss Merida. And, you know, she's proud of her, but like, I think she's like, I can't believe this. Like my first baby, like, well, Helen was the first, but my first set of twins are gone from the nest. And I can't, like, wow. Like, I think she's a little in shock, but proud, but a little in shock. And I do think she's very proud. And don't forget that coffee will stunt your growth. No. We want you to grow up to be a little bit taller, love. That's what she was saying. No. Okay, and then Dad here is just loving on Helen and saying, you know, don't forget to take your medication. I know that you get paranoid. I know that you have your little attacks. Everything's going to be fine. I'm not going to be here to chase you out of the street. So please take care of yourself, Helen. You know I love you, and I'm always going to love you. Our home is always your home, and everything's going to be fine. Just know that I'm so, so proud of you, and yeah. It's like, okay, Mom, love you. Thank you guys so much for everything that you've ever done for us. Don't worry, we're going to be fine. Even though the music is trying to ruin us all. She's like, honey, it's not. It's really not. Like, please don't tell people that. They are here officially at the finishing school. Hopefully they will make friends with the other girls. And we are going to head ourselves back home to where we belong on the farm. We are back here on the farm again, and I am actually going to leave this one here. So if you enjoyed the episode, give it a like, share, and a comment. It greatly helps the channel. If you aren't subscribed, please consider subscribing and hit the bell so you're notified of new episodes and content. I will see you in the next scheduled episode, and until then, I'm going to fly for now. Bye, y'all.